hopefully you enjoyed my first podcast and that gave you a little insight into me and what I believe Bellissimi to be about. If not, please go check it out. When I was planning on doing a podcast and going into the treatment side and services side of things, this kind of topic popped number one into my head because it's probably one of the most asked about or one of the most discussed in person on social media, as there's a lot of controversy about this treatment because a lot of people don't know actually what it is. There's a lot of speculation because people like to name things a certain way, and companies, brands, salons like to market it a certain way. So I'm here to give you the lowdown on microblading. Specifically today, interestingly enough, I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons why my clients regret having microblading done. Firstly, what is microblading? And this is what I alluded to at the beginning of the episode. I could tell you you're getting microblading, and as I wouldn't say an average Jane, but as someone who isn't aware of the industry terms and things, you will just take what I say as gospel. I've had clients come to me who said, I want microblading brows. Great. I had it done 3 or 4 years ago. They faded. Can you please do me some new brows? Fine. When I get into it, they say, oh, Simi, when are you putting the machine on? And I'm thinking, what do you mean, what machine? And they say, oh, well, when I had it done last time, the microblading lady put the machine on. Straight away, that's a red flag because that's not microblading. That's hair stroke tattooing. So yeah, fair enough. It can, and I say that with a caveat I'll get into later, it can give a similar effect, but the process, the technique, the longevity, the healing, it's totally, totally different. First and foremost, what is hair stroke brow microblading? It sounds pretty obvious when I say it, but I'm essentially replicating brow strokes in and on your eyebrow. I say in because it is a semi-permanent makeup type of procedure. What that means is I have to open the skin in order to implant the pigment into it. It's not going on like a eyebrow dye would or henna brows. That's going on your skin. This is going in. However, this is when I say it with a caveat compared to hair stroke tattooing. We're only going about 1 or 2 layers into the epidermis. Tattooing, for example, goes 6 or 7. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that can get quite deep. And with that, resulting in obviously a longer lasting effect. Plus, it can be more painful. It's essentially getting a tattoo on your face if you were going down the machine route. Microblading, I've been told, is not totally unbearable. It isn't comfortable, but it's manageable. I've had clients, for example, one lady once told me, and bearing in mind, she actually had a tattoo around the side of her eye, an actual proper tattoo. And she said it was worse than childbirth. So, what can I tell you there? I've had another client, many clients have said, oh, it feels like you're kind of scratching my eyebrows, or it feels like I'm getting them threaded or tweezed. So yeah, everybody's pain threshold is totally different. But in terms of the general feedback I get, microblading doesn't seem to be as painful as going down a full semi-permanent makeup tattoo kind of brow effect. With that, of course, because we're not going as deep as we would with an actual tattoo, top-ups are recommended. A lot of people freak out when they hear top-ups. They think they've got to come back to me every few months, every month, every week, whatever. It's nothing like that at all. The recommended retention times are, I'd say, between every 6 to 12 months. Again, that depends on you and what you want. I've had clients that come to me every 12 weeks, every 3 months on the dot. They like a fresher, defined brow look. I've had clients, sometimes I don't see them for 18 to 24 months. And a lot can happen in my life, in your life. It's great to have a nice catch up too. As I mentioned in my first episode, I'm all about that authentic connection. You're on the sofa with me, you're having a chat. I'm just kind of sticking some pigment in your face at the same time. That's the only difference. That brings me nicely into my kind of second point. What to look for in a microblading technician, artist, therapist, I guess. There are a few things you really need to look for. If you're in the aesthetics industry or you know a little bit about it, you'll hear there's constant speculation about rules and laws and regulations changing. However, for microblading, it's always been the same. Microblading under most local councils and local authorities comes under tattooing because, it's a form of semi-permanent makeup. I'm opening the skin to put pigment in. So with that being said, most, and I say most because I've worked in the Northeast, I'm now based in Manchester. I've trained people who've come from different boroughs and different areas in the country. And every time I've checked the council bylaws under tattooing, it pretty much says the same thing. You need a license. The council comes and checks it's all above board. And what that means is it's a sanitary, hygienic place for you to kind of deal with microblading. I'm not going to go too much into the opening of skin and things like that because I appreciate some of you might have just had your breakfast and you're in the car dropping your kids off to school and you don't want to hear too much of that queasy stuff. So there are risks of infection, cross-contamination, etc., etc. If you approach a technician and they say, yeah, sure, come over, I'm doing it in my kitchen, or they're doing it in a living room, please run the other way because the council require you to have a wipeable floor, they have wipeable walls, you need to have a sharp spin collection, that's all behind the scenes on the admin side of things with technicians. But if you don't see a sharp spin, I'd query that too. But the license is the most important thing. And the bylaws of most councils also state that this license should be on your wall for everyone to see. You can also check online, you can contact the local license, and please also check that the license address or the premises address correlates to where you're potentially having your eyebrows done. On that kind of same train of thought, you'd assume that this person was qualified and insured too. By all means, ask for proof of this, ask for copies of the qualifications, ask for a copy of their insurance schedule. No self-respecting and legit technician would ever say no. Somebody asked me, I'd hand them straight over. They're actually on my wall in my clinic anyway. But if they wanted to see a photo of it, by all means, I have no issue sending it. Please don't feel shy or embarrassed to do so because at the end of the day, this is your face. Another thing that you shouldn't be afraid to ask for is pictures, and ask them for the unedited pictures. These days on social media, everything is heavily edited or filtered. Sometimes I can't even tell the difference. But if you head over to my Instagram, for example, my befores and afters have not been touched. You can actually see redness around the client's eyebrows because, yeah, I am obviously implementing pigment into the skin. Skin is going to get a little tender. They almost look like they've just had a wax. And that's another thing that a lot of clients say back to me is that, oh, they don't look as bad as I thought. They don't look red, they're not raw, they're not bleeding. They look a bit sore, but that's understandable again because it is a physical procedure. One final thing to look for, and this is quite controversial, I guess, is not to base somebody's price on the quality of their work. By that, I mean, I've been on Groupon in the past. When I first started out my business, I used it to get my name out there. Groupon can have a bad rep, but each to their own. And if it works for you, great. So I almost say you've got to treat a Groupon client almost better than a normal client because you want them to come back and then pay full price. But I charge really, really competitively. I'm not going to go into numbers, but again, if you check my prices, you think, oh, wow, that's quite low. Over the years, like I said, I've had over 10 years experience now in this industry, even with microblading, and I charge for my experience. I don't charge for my time. A full set of eyebrows can take me around 45 minutes. I don't get you to lie there for hours and hours because in my experience, clients don't want to lie there for hours and hours. So another reason why I'm pretty rapid at getting your eyebrows microbladed is because I don't tend to like using numbing cream. Now, before you spit your brew out, let me just clarify why that is. Firstly, I'm going to save you an hour and a half on your appointment time. How is that, you say? What sorcery could that be? Well, basically, when you apply numbing cream, it has an active ingredient in it called lidocaine. Lidocaine needs to be on your skin topically for around 20 to 30 minutes for full absorption. That means between each pass, which is when I do the full eyebrow on each side, I need to reapply the numbing cream for another 30 minutes. I do 3 passes of an eyebrow for a full set of each eyebrow, So that means an hour and a half has been added to your total appointment time. Like I said, you come to me, you want quick results, you want to be in and out. You haven't got time to lie there for an extra hour and a half. On top of that, there's quite a lot of misinformation, surprise, surprise, out there regarding numbing cream. Is it illegal? Do you buy it over the counter? Can you buy the one from Alibaba that's like 20% or something? Let me break it down for you a little bit. There are plenty of over-the-counter numbing creams you can buy, tend to be at pharmacies maybe, your Boots, your Superdrugs. They have quite a low percentage of lidocaine. But a lot of chemists don't really like giving out over-the-counter numbing cream, especially when you say it's for a cosmetic procedure. Sadly, I'm not sure why that is, but that seems to be the general feedback I get from clients when they do try and pop in to their local chemist to get some numbing cream. On top of that, because of the lower percentage, the effects don't really work. Moving on to prescription level numbing creams. These are obviously at a stronger percentage, which means you're going to get longer lasting pain relief. Most clinics and salons that have treatments that require a numbing cream, I can probably guarantee they use a higher level prescription based numbing cream. However, if they have an in-house prescriber, then that's absolutely fine. But the average one-stop shops or the average clinicians who don't have access to an on-site prescriber, like me, for example, I really shouldn't be applying prescription strength numbing cream to a client. Again, if you buy it, you're prescribed it, you can apply it yourself before your appointment. Great. Win-win for time and for pain for both of us. Okay, let's say you've got your numbing cream on, it's all above board, you come to me. This is where it starts to get tricky for me as a practitioner. Because the active ingredient lidocaine, it can cause something called vasoconstriction. So without getting too technical with it, it reduces the bleeding, which is great for you, great for me. However, that can limit the pigment distribution. That means you might be comfortable there for the extra half an hour that you're in with the numbing cream, but essentially, I'm not going to be able to get into your brow deep enough for the pigment to actually implant, which could result in you having to come back for more top-ups in the long run. So if you can grin and bear it for that short 45-minute appointment, then you're basically going to have longer lasting brows because you don't need to come back to me as often. I mean, if you want to come see me, I'll never say no, but that's one benefit to not using numbing cream. The second benefit to not using numbing cream is, again, from my perspective, when I'm working on your brows, I go by what your eyebrow is telling me. You could lie there and say, Simi, I feel absolutely fine, this is great, but looking at your eyebrows, they're starting to get red, they're starting to get tender. I know it's time for me to stop. With the numbing cream, it's going to make you obviously more comfortable. And because it's restricted that bleeding, I can't really tell what your eyebrow's trying to tell me. So I could inadvertently be causing your face more trauma. On top of that potential trauma, it's also important to mention that the lidocaine can cause swelling, which doesn't seem too important when we're talking about your eyebrows. But say, for example, when doing your lips, and this is something that I can chat about in another video, it can start to get pretty confusing because at that stage, I don't know if it's the filler that's causing your lips to obviously be plump and slightly swollen, or if it's from the numbing cream. Always remember though, if you do go to a clinic that provides the numbing cream in-house, ask them when you come for your pigment patch test to do a patch test of the numbing cream too. They obviously want a treatment that lasts, you're going to get good results from, but they don't have that time. So if I can get you in and out and you have long-lasting results, then win-win. Right, let's get into the juicy stuff. The top 5 reasons why my clients regret having their eyebrows microbladed. And this is, like I said, by me. Number 1, they say to me, Simi, you've saved me far too much time in the morning. I'm not running around like a headless chicken anymore. I'm not running after the children with half an eyebrow done. Then by the time I get to the school gate, I realize that my eyebrows are wonky, or I get to work, I did my eyebrows in the dark in the car on the way to work, and they're totally uneven. So the number 1 piece of feedback I really get, let's pretend it's negative, is you've saved me time so I can have that extra 10 minutes peace. Is there such thing as peace when you're a mum? Or let's say the extra lie-in where you don't have to get your eyebrows all even and polished. For example, this morning, my son vomited on me. So I was getting ready for an event, a really amazing networking event in Cheshire called the Cheshire Club, and he was sick on me. So I had to adapt. Obviously, it's not related to microblading, but had your son vomited on you, and he's 2, by the way, so bless him. Had your child been sick on you and you're in the middle of doing your eyebrows, it's probably not going to end well for either of you. So number one reason, getting your eyebrows microbladed by me saves you time. The second reason that people, or rather my clients, regret getting their eyebrows microbladed is that they wish they had it done sooner. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, there's a lot of controversy, there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Is it a tattoo? Is it not a tattoo? Does it last forever? Does it not last forever? Will it ruin your face? What about when you get older? Etc., etc. When people come to me, I offer a comfortable experience as much as I can, given that it is a physical procedure. So like I said earlier, I'm quite quick. Therefore, that can correlate to being quite painless, because by the time we're done and it does start to get tender, your brows are basically ready and you're ready to go. My third one is a little bit funny, actually. This is from a personal experience now. I'll put it out there. I have not had my eyebrows microbladed. My heritage is Indian. And for my Indian girls out there, or my olive tone skinned girls out there, I don't know about you, but along with some eyebrows, I got a matching beard and mustache. So I don't really suffer from lack of hair up in my brow area. I've actually had my eyeliner tattooed, or rather it's an eyelash enhancement. I will get into that in the future if anyone is interested. But I've not had my eyebrows microbladed. However, getting my lash enhancement done, I received quite a few compliments. And I'll get into that as to why that is a regret. Okay, a lot of clients say to me, Simi, I'm getting so many compliments on my brows. The reason that's a regret is because, for example, if you're a mum, a wife, you've got a million things to do, you're busy, you're working a job or you're self-employed. Women in general, we tend to kind of fade into the background. Think of Christmas dinner. We're usually the last ones to eat because we're worried about everybody else. So suddenly being put into the spotlight, let's say, oh, your brows look good. Oh, you look different. That's my favorite compliment. You're looking well. There's something different about you. And again, that is what I really, really focus on. I don't want to change your face. This is me as a practitioner in all my treatments, including makeup. I don't want to change your face. I don't want to change your beauty. I'm here to enhance it. So when someone says to me, Simi, I'm getting too many compliments, I like to joke and say, they regret that because they're suddenly in the forefront. They're suddenly glowing in their beauty, which they should always be doing anyway. And if you're listening, good for you. So the fourth reason why my clients regret getting microbladed eyebrows is that they're not just stuck with one style. So why that is a negative, let's say, in a tongue-in-cheek way, is that you can change your brows to go along with the trends. You're not just stuck with one eyebrow. Don't get me wrong, if that's the look that you want, great. But if you are someone who overplucked their brows in the 90s, hello, I'm all for you there. I see you girls. Then having some fuller, thicker brows is great. You can then add more as time goes on. But always remember, you can add, you can't take away. Obviously, the trends of 2020 are laminated brows. So if you decided to get semi-permanent tattooed brows and you got some thicker, bushy eyebrows, and then in 10, 15 years, that's no longer the trend, you're in a bit of a pickle. However, microblading, because it's more of a subtle enhancement, you can amend and change as you go along. Now, that might be a negative to you. It could be a positive. But obviously, the most important thing is we get the eyebrows to suit your shape, face, colouring, etc. Okay, so on to the fifth and final reason why clients regret getting their eyebrows microbladed. This is a bit of a funny one, actually, and it made me giggle actually, when a couple of clients mentioned this to me and said, when we go on holiday or if we have to take our kids swimming, I've got no excuse anymore. I can't say, no, I'm not getting in the water, kids. My eyebrows are going to come off. Your eyebrows are there now, so kids are going to be wanting you in the water. You're going to get splashed. You need to be involved. You'll be getting dunked and it's all good. So enjoy that holiday, get in the pool, because once your brows are on, they are on. As always, thank you for joining me on my sofa. Okie dokie, that brings me to the end of this week's episode. I know it was a little bit more technical this week, but hopefully I've answered all your burning questions. And if I haven't, by all means, drop me a DM on Instagram and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Do you have any regrets after getting your eyebrows microbladed if you have had it done? Or if you're looking at getting it done, is there anything that I've not covered? Again, please just drop me a message and I will look into it.